Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. My name is Jasmine Neely, and I am your host today and always. And I'm so excited because we have a special guest on the podcast today, Cori Hurm. Cori grew up in Kernersville, where she began dancing as a little girl and competing at the age of 6. She continued to dance all the way through high school, training in jazz, lyrical, contemporary, ballet, hip hop, and tap. In college, she danced for the Appalachian State University dance team, where she was co-captain. She graduated from ASU with a degree in communications and a minor in dance. Cori also cheered professionally for the NFL Carolina Panthers as a top cat cheerleader for 2 years. Dance has always been such a big part of Cori's life. She has taught students from ages 2 to 16 and used it as a foundation for her health and fitness coaching. Welcome to the podcast, Cori.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and just so everyone knows, Cori and I were on the team together, and I think we had that COVID year, your second year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're my
Such
captain that year, so
Yeah, it was such an interesting time. And I can't believe it's already been 4 years since COVID. It's crazy.
I know.
So much has
Crazy.
happened. So
For
let's just
sure.
start off, and I want you to tell us about your experience as an NFL cheerleader and why you decided to do it. What was your why in that moment?
Yeah, so like you said, I cheered for 2 seasons. I did it right out of college. So I think it was 2019 through 2020, like end of 2020 was my seasons. I've danced my whole life. I love dance, obviously, and wanted to dance professionally and have that opportunity. I just didn't know what when I was younger and like through high school and stuff. And then I saw a lot of people like on my team from App State trying out, and I was like, you know what? And I went to a Panthers game too, and I was like, you know what? That looks really fun. I just want to try it. I'm one of those people who like I'm going to try it once just so I don't regret it later on down the road that I didn't try it and push myself to go after any goal I had. So I started training like a year before my first auditions. So I was like a junior, senior, like that summer before is when I started training. I watched like every video I could of Top Cats. I tried to learn all the choreography from like little snippets on Instagram so I could get the style before I went to any of the prep clinics. Just so I was as prepared as possible. I started, running more to get my cardio up, all that good stuff. And obviously, like I said, I went to all the prep clinics and then I tried out. I made it and I was just like beyond excited. I was like, no way, this is real life right now. It was like such a pinch me moment. I remember when I got my call, I literally just started crying. I was like, no
Oh.
way, this is not real. Or actually we got an email. We got an email and it was a list of our names. And then they posted a video on the Instagram with all our videos and stuff. And it was just like the best day ever. Definitely one of my top 3 days that I've had so far. Yeah, and then I cheered for 2 years. Like you said, one of those years, my second year was a COVID year. Unfortunately, we were dancing in the stands, but it was still super fun. Got to be on the team. And yeah, I think my why honestly was like I said, I didn't want to regret not trying it or at least trying out later on down the road. So
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's so cool. I think
yeah.
it's so important that you say that you trained a year before you decided to try out, because
Mm-hmm.
I think some people, they decide like right before, which is, to each his own. You can
Mm-hmm.
decide last minute, but if you know this is something that you want, then it's always good to start way far in advance. And I think a year is a great starting point. And
Yeah.
you also said that you did cardio you know, to train for the cardio portion of an audition and just being
Yeah.
on the field, which cardio is super important when you're a pro cheerleader, especially on the Top Cats team. You're jumping up and down all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Do you is running like all you did? Like looking back, would you have done something else? And I'm asking this because I know a lot of people don't like to run and
Yeah.
people don't like to do cardio. So like, would you have done anything differently in terms of training, besides running?
Yeah, so I also did strength training with running. I've always been very passionate about strength training. Like that's what I do now. I'm an online trainer. And that's like my niche is like strength training. So I did a little bit of that, and I also just implemented more cardio in general. So running, I remember that was something that I really pushed myself to do. And then went to App State, so it was really cold. So whenever it was cold and the weather wasn't great, I would just do like a stair stepper workout or something like that, just because I knew that my cardio needed to be like the best it could be to get through the routines. And if when I was training, I was like, if I make the team, we're going to be dancing on the sidelines for like 4 hours straight. So I need to get my lungs trained for that. And if I could look back, right now I'm also a part-time F45 coach, so I do that like 2 days a week. I think those would be great because it's like hit workout, so high intensity interval training, which is very similar to like a 2 minute dance routine where you're going full out. If I could go back, I would probably look into taking some of those classes because I think it would be great for dancers.
Yeah, and you made it on your first try, right?
I did, yes.
What do you think set you apart, like if anything, or do you think it was a little bit of luck? Do you think like there was something specific? Because I feel like a lot of people ask me, how do I set myself apart? How do I stand out? What do you think? And you making it on the first time says something about your training. Is there anything that you think you did in particular to stand out?
Yeah, so obviously I prepared like physically as much as I possibly could, with working out and training and all of that. But I think honestly, what sets anyone apart is just showing whoever you're auditioning for who you really are. I remember in my interview that was like what I wanted to show to the coaches at the time, was like what my heart was and like what I was passionate about, what I was involved in at school and stuff. So just a little backstory about me in school. I um, used to tutor for a program called SDAP, so Students with Diverse Abilities program. Something I'm very passionate about is working with people with differing abilities. And I just talked about that, and that's something that really sets my soul on fire and that I was passionate about. And I think it's really important to show how you're involved in your community, what your story is, like what you're passionate about. Obviously, I'm passionate about health and fitness as well. It's what my job is based around. So I talked about that as well. And I think that just really um, shows them who you are, because most teams want obviously good dancers, people who are going to be good teammates, but just also really good people as well.
Yeah, that's so good. So let's get into what you do now. So life after
Yeah.
cheerleading. I've seen you build this wonderful community online through social media and just what you do for like your, fitness and lifestyle brand, Cori Fit, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, and you give so many good tips on how people, your followers and people that follow you can improve their health, their fitness, and their wellness. So after cheerleading, is this something that you knew you wanted to do? Like, what prompted you to do that in particular? And I know you mentioned even when you were at ASU, you had such a big passion for fitness, but how
Hmm.
did you get into that after pro cheerleading? And yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my full-time job, just for people who might not know, I'm a content creator. So everything about health, fitness, workouts, just lifestyle in general. That's kind of what I categorize it as, is like a healthy lifestyle page. So I kind of started posting videos when I was cheering, like towards the end, just like what I eat in a day. Those are some of my favorite to create. And I've always been like creative. And even when I was little, I remember I loved taking my parents' camera, like before we had iPhones and stuff, and just taking pictures of stuff or taking videos and stuff on those old school video cameras. And I don't know. I just kind of fell into it, but I also knew like you could make a career out of it at the same time. And I was like, how cool would it be to do this for a job? So I got more serious about it when I was done cheering. I would post like 3 to 4 times a day, like videos, and then it was kind of like a slow burn for me, slowly built to where I am now. And again, like I'm very passionate about all things health, wellness, fitness, just living your best life. And it's very fulfilling to me to make those kind of videos and be a positive platform because there's so much out there, and I just wanted to show my life and how I live my life in a healthy way and how transformative it can be.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I hope that answered your question. I kind of
It did. And I
rambled.
have like, no, I want to ask you because your videos are so good. Like when you post your what I eat in a day or like get ready with me, it's like the editing is so good. And I think the girls want to know, like,
Yeah.
what's the process? Selfish question for me. What is the process of you like editing the videos? Because it's like second by second by second, it seems like. And that doesn't
Hmm.
take a short amount of time. It takes a long time, I'm sure. Or maybe you figured it out and you can do it bam, 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 bam. But how do you like, and you said you posted 3 times a day. Like, how did you fit that all into your schedule? I'm sure it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, so when I first started, I was still working a full-time job. So I would record either before I went into work. That didn't always happen because I had to be there at like 7 a.m. But I would work out before and record that. And then after I got off of work, I would do like a recipe video. And throughout the day, I would record all that I ate. So that kind of gets 3 videos done throughout the day. And I knew that what I was doing at the time for my job wasn't going to be long term. So I was like, okay, I'm going to bust my butt while I'm working my full time job and also try to make this like kind of a side business for a little bit, like making content. And like I said, the more the merrier. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And then my process right now is and like just as advice for anybody who might want to get into social media is just recording everything you do. Like I live my day anyway, so I might as well record it and make content out of it. So that's kind of how I do that. And I also, instead of recording a bunch of different clips, like for my routine videos, I just do one really long one and then I go on the back end and edit it. And most of my like clips are like anywhere from point 0.2 to 0.5 seconds long because people's attention spans these days you want to be
Girl,
cut
yes.
cut 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 cut.
For sure.
Yeah,
That's such great advice because I'm sure there's somebody out
yeah,
there, me included, that needs like to better their content and edit better. I do all my content, so I'm like, these are tips that
yeah,
I could use too. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that wants to put out content or maybe wants to become a social media influencer or creator. So
yeah,
that's really great advice. I'm gonna take the 2.5 or 1.2 to 2.5, whatever you said.
yeah.
We'll take that tip. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done. Just want to let you know that.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, of course. And your fitness community, I'm sure. So you have like don't you have certification in fitness or personal
Yes,
training?
yes.
So
Hmm.
for the pro cheer candidates out there that want to be on a team this year, they're getting this audition season. It's in full mode, as you know.
Oh
And,
yeah.
the girls and the guys are going to their prep classes. They're getting ready. They're trying to get their bodies right. They're trying to eat right. So, what is your advice for how to get in shape, one, and feel great at auditions? Are there any particular workouts that you would recommend for aspiring pro cheerleaders?
Yeah, so I honestly think strength training is such a good workout for anything that you're training for, even if you aren't trying out, but obviously that's what we're talking about right now.
Agree.
Strength training, because you do have to have a strong base to, be able to hit the sharper movements. So like with pro cheer, it is dance, but there's also some cheer elements because you're holding palms. So you want to make sure that your arm strength is there, and a lot of movement comes from your back as well. So you just want to make sure that you are feeling strong, that so that you can hit those movements harder. Also, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but cardio, like getting your cardio up. If you don't do any cardio at all, maybe adding it in like at the end of every other workout that you do, and then slowly working your way up. So like steady state cardio is really great. So that just means doing cardio, keeping your heart rate between 120 to 160, so nothing too crazy. And it's for longer periods of time. So maybe doing an incline walk on the treadmill for about 20 minutes or so. Obviously, you can build your way up to like 30 minutes. But I think that is honestly a great way to uh, shred fat, and also it helps get your cardiovascular health in check.
Yeah.
Maybe doing sprints here and there too, or just going outside and running, so you can get your endurance and your stamina up. And then if you have an F45, I know I'm plugging them because I work for them, but honestly, their workouts are super, super great for building your endurance and your stamina. So if you have an F45 studio near you, they have strength days, cardio days, and that's just a really good way to get in shape as well.
I actually took F45 for the first time, like at the end of December, and
Yeah.
they are really good workouts. There's like days where it's harder, and then there's days where it's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit easier or lighter. But those cardio days,
Yeah.
oof, I almost passed out. I'm not gonna
Woo!
lie.
Yeah.
Like, but it was after I ate a lot
Yeah.
of was it turkey, whatever you eat at Christmas time. I had
Yeah.
definitely ate bad, and I went to go work out and it was good, almost passed out. But yes, F45 is a good workout if anybody's looking to, get in
Oh
shape.
yeah,
Which one do you
for sure.
train at? Which
So I'm in Winston-Salem right now,
oh yeah.
and I train at the Winston-Salem location. Yeah.
Oh cool. Awesome. How long have you been
Hmm.
doing that? Did you mention that?
My 1 year anniversary was actually a couple days ago, so a year.
Oh, cool. I thought it's been longer. That's really cool. I
Yeah.
think one of our former teammates used to go there at 45. But yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
What kind of workouts do you do like in a week? Like what's your like weekly, like do you have theme days? Because for me, I do like Mondays, I do legs, Tuesdays, I do chest,
Hmm.
Wednesdays is my rest day. Like what is your workout routine for a week look like?
Yeah, so right now it's a little different than normal because F45 they're doing like a challenge right now, so I've been doing more of those. But let's just say this is a normal week in my life and there's not that challenge going on. Normally, I do about three strength days on my own where I train myself. So Monday is always leg day for me. Tuesday, I'll go into an F45 class or I'll go on a run. Um, Wednesdays, I'll either do an F45 class because that's a cardio day, or I'll train myself. It just kind of depends on what the schedule is at F45, honestly. Thursdays, I'll do an upper body day. So like back, biceps, shoulders, or chest and triceps. And then what day did I do Thursday? Friday. Friday will either be another cardio day or I'll train myself again. It just kind of depends. I'm very flexible with what I do.
Mhm.
And then Saturdays, I'll either go to yoga, because mobility is very important to me, or I'll just go outside for a walk and have kind of like an active recovery day.
Yeah. And you don't do anything on Sunday? Is Sunday your rest day?
Yeah, I take a siesta on Sunday.
Yes, as you should. 6 days out the
Mm-hmm.
week, that's a lot. Sunday, you just want to
Yeah, girl.
rest. I get that.
Exactly.
And so you don't do, so you kind of like section off when you do cardio, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. Some
Yeah.
days I don't want to do cardio. I try to do cardio every time I work out, but some days I'm just like, let me just walk or do something low impact, which
Yeah,
you gotta do, find out what works for you.
for
So
sure.
thanks for sharing that. So, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask you, cardio or lifting, what's best for dancers, but I have a feeling you're gonna say both.
Yeah.
But is that what you would say? I don't want to speak for you.
Oh yeah,
Talked about it
for
though.
sure. A good mix of both. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting into nutrition, what kinds of
Mhm.
foods, if somebody is, hey, they're training for their audition right now and they don't know what kind of foods to eat based off of, their body or just basic nutritional guidelines. If somebody's like just starting very basic, what would you recommend to somebody that's wanting to audition for a team? Because you have to, like, I have to put this out there because I feel like in the pro cheer world, people want to starve themselves and you cannot starve yourself. You gotta eat. You gotta eat.
Oh yeah.
We don't
Hmm.
want any eating disorders or anything unhealthy. Definitely eat, but it definitely helps to know like what you should eat. So what would you recommend as far as nutrition for somebody just starting out?
Yeah. So if let's just say this is someone that knows nothing,
Mhm.
or like is very confused because it is confusing. Like anything fitness and health related, there's so much information out there. But I do online personal training too. So this is what I tell my clients. One, I think it's important to not take anything away, but to add to your diet. So if you're not a big veggie and fruit fan, I always tell people to try smoothies. You can hide so much in smoothies for like breakfast or something. You can throw some spinach in there, some fruit, protein powder, blend it up and call it a day. And then your body starts to get adjusted to those new things. Obviously, in a smoothie, you can kind of hide the veggies that you put in there with the fruit and protein powder. It hides the flavor of it. But it's important to keep in mind that the more you eat those things, the more your body starts to crave them and thrive off of them. And then same thing, like not taking away anything from your normal diet, but adding good alternatives or adding another serving of fruit to your dinner or to your lunch. Also keeping in mind it's very important to eat at least 3 meals a day just for food timing. It's good for your metabolism, your hunger cues, all of that good stuff, and just making sure that you're getting enough calories in your day. Most of the time, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but just based off of people I've worked with, women I've worked with in the past, women tend to undereat and not realize it,
Mm.
especially protein. So I always tell my clients we normally start by tracking on MyFitnessPal, so tracking your macros, so your protein, carbs, and fats, and just tracking and kind of seeing where you are. And then once you kind of get into a good rhythm with that, eating 3 meals a day, then we start focusing on eating a little bit more protein. So a high protein diet is one, the most satisfying nutrient or macronutrient is protein. And it also helps you build lean muscle mass, it gives you energy, all of that good stuff. So that's where I would say to start. Obviously, you can get more technical with it, but I just think
Mm.
adding more good things to your diet is a really good place to start.
Yeah, I come across people that they want to add more protein into their diet, but they maybe don't eat chicken or maybe they don't eat
Mm-hmm.
fish. Like, what are some good protein alternatives that maybe aren't, your normal chicken or fish? Maybe somebody's vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah.
Like, how do they get protein if they don't eat meat at all?
Yeah, I could talk about this all day, girl. So, so some
Bring it
good
on. We
things
love to hear.
are let's let's talk about it. Protein powder, obviously, you can get any flavor. There's so many brands out there. But protein powder, obviously, most of them you can get like 20 to 25 grams of protein per scoop. Add it to a smoothie. You can add it into oatmeal, cream of rice. You can make so many different recipes with protein powder these days. And then cottage cheese has so much protein in it. Some people it's a texture thing, but I recommend to my clients who are like, I can't get past the texture of cottage cheese. Add it into scrambled eggs in the morning. One, eggs have protein in them, but if you cook them, it kind of melts and it literally tastes like cheese, but it's so high protein.
Oh.
Um, yeah, very, very good. I'm a big cottage cheese girl. And then nuts, obviously, those have higher fat, but the good kind of fat. and still have a good amount of protein in them. I really like Tomp's meat sticks. So they're kind of like beef jerky sticks or like Slim Jims, but they have really good ingredients in them. And they taste really good. And then what else? I'm trying to think of something else. Um,
I will
yeah,
say the
that those are
cottage,
my go-tos, honestly.
yeah, for the cottage cheese, I tried to eat cottage cheese. I every time, but I stopped buying it because every time I buy it, it sits in the back of my refrigerator and I never touch it, and then it just goes bad, and I have to throw the whole thing out as waste. But I will say one time, well, an ex-boyfriend of mine, he put cottage cheese on a rice cake and put like cheddar cheese
Mm,
on top of it. And I think it was, yeah, I think it was cottage cheese and like cheddar cheese on top. And maybe he added like some tuna, which is good for protein too.
ooh,
And it
mm-hmm.
was so good. And I'm like, why haven't I just, recreated that with my cottage cheese that's
Yeah.
in my refrigerator? But
Mm-hmm.
cottage cheese, yeah, it for me it's a texture thing too. But if you can add it to other things, like you said, to the eggs, or maybe get some rice cakes,
Mm-hmm.
put on a rice cake for a little snack, I think you can
Yeah.
make it work. Don't have to eat cottage cheese out the can. I gotta tell myself that.
Yeah.
Those are really good tips, though. Thank you. I wrote some of those
Yeah.
down. I'm gonna, especially the cheese and the egg, the cottage cheese and the eggs. I always like to
Mm-hmm.
put eggs
Oh
on my,
yeah.
I mean, cheese on my eggs anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
that
It's
one,
so good.
yeah, if I buy cottage cheese again, because knowing me, it's probably gonna go bad. Um, So for somebody that wants like just staying on nutrition, they want to be better with their nutrition, but they're struggling to stay consistent. Are there any hacks that
Mm-hmm.
you have that maybe you've worked with clients before that you've helped them stay on a consistent schedule? I think you mentioned my Fitness Pal. And
Mm-hmm.
is there something else, or what is there like a way that they can train themselves to eat better consistently?
Yeah, so well, one thing, like I said earlier, the more you eat well, the more like obviously you get into a routine with it. And also your body just starts to crave those things more. Like if you don't eat fast food for a long time, you realize like your body, like you don't crave it as much. Same thing goes with healthy food. Like if you're not eating it consistently, your body's not going to crave it. But the good thing is the more you eat it, the more you crave it, the more you realize too how good you feel, how much energy you have. So that's a big motivator